Hello and welcome to another video here on the channel, and today we are doing a bit of a vlog. It's something I've felt I've been needing to do for a little while. There's a lot of issues going on right now. The world that we live in is currently a very turbulent place, and it can often be hard to escape from these troubles, and so we do need to face them head on. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what race you are, what age you are, what gender you are, what sexuality you are. It's unavoidable. It's affecting everyone. Now, I'm going to start off, obviously, with the coronavirus pandemic. Now, this is by no means the most important part of this vlog, but coronavirus pandemic seems to have actually united the world with news. It doesn't matter what country you're in, the talk is about the coronavirus pandemic, and it is a shocking time. It's opened up quite a lot of secrets on how these things work. It's not the first time the world has experienced a massive pandemic like this. The world experiences them once, twice, three times a century. We've had SARS so far before. It wasn't obviously as bad as this, but it's happened before. We had the Black Death. You've had the bubonic plague. There have been a lot of pandemics like this, and the last one before this, last big one, was around this time last century, which was the H1N1 influenza, also known as the Spanish flu. Well, when these things happen, the world has to come together. But the way we're doing that with this is by staying apart. Now, obviously, speaking to you now, we've been in lockdown for over 11 weeks now in the UK. You all know, keep your 2 meters distance, face coverings, you probably know about household rules, you know about all the rules. So why on earth are people still disregarding them? It's simple instructions to save lives. You guys all going down to your beaches and partying on the beaches and going around to your friends' gardens and having house parties with 30 people in the garden, all of you too close together. What is that going to achieve? You get your moments of fun, more people die. There'll be a second lockdown. So, those of you watching this video, the first big request I ask of you is, no matter what you're doing, think about others. Might not be your life that you're ending by spreading the virus, but you could end the life of someone around you. You don't have to be experiencing the symptoms to be carrying the virus. There are people that have no symptoms that are carrying the virus right now as we speak. You go around there to your house party of 30 people, you could spread it to someone. That someone could then die. Do you want to be responsible for the death of a friend or family member? Pretty sure you don't. So I must ask politely that you do all stick to lockdown restrictions and advice, because personally I'd like to see this virus ended as soon as possible with the least deaths possible. But the only way that we're going to reduce deaths is by reducing the spread, and the only way we're going to do that is by people actually listening to the instructions. So, moving on to the second part of this speech. Lately, we've obviously had the George Floyd incident, which has led to the Black Lives Matter movement being, should I say it's been initiated, or should I say it's been re-initiated? Because Black Lives Matter has actually been something that has existed for a long time. There's been people that have strived for racial equality for many, many years. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela even. You shouldn't be prejudiced against for your upbringing. Granted. Now, Personally, I'm seeing a lot of the protests and I'm feeling very moved. What happened in London yesterday with them dancing to Candy on the streets, that is a good protest. What they did in Edinburgh, social distancing, silent, respectful, reverent, that is a good protest. However, it's when these protests are turning violent that the issues arise. If these protests turn violent, they're going to want someone to blame for this. Now, the best way to get racial equality is to not give them fuel to cause prejudice. You're going to get a much better protest as long as you're peaceful and don't give them the fuel they need to fuel their hatred of a minority. Now, going into hatred of certain people and so on and so forth, one thing that we do need to remember here is that opinions are valid. You've got to be careful the way you say things, granted. Now, obviously, whenever you're saying something to someone, there's going to be two ways that it is. So what about? There's the way that it was intended and the way that it was received. So I'm understanding right now that when I'm putting this up, I mean good. But there might be someone out there that watches this and thinks, oh God, he's against this, he's against that. It's not good. Perfectly aware of that. There are two perceptions to everything that is said or wrote. But personally, what I think is a big issue that's going on with all of the Black Lives Matter movements is the media and the social media. Now, I'm seeing a lot of people posting on their social media pages about like how Black Lives Matter, but when they're doing that, they're saying some things that certain people don't like. This is not going to solve anything by replying to them saying that they're uneducated, they don't know what they're talking about, their opinions are wrong. Well, for starters, opinions cannot be wrong. That is the nature of an opinion. An opinion is the expressal of someone's thoughts. You cannot tell me that a certain person's thoughts are wrong. They might not be morally acceptable, they might not be politically correct, but that person still has that opinion and they are entitled to it. Granted, some of these opinions, like I say, might be worse than others, and some of them maybe shouldn't be announced publicly. But you then rising to them and replying, stating how wrong they are, how could they say such a thing, why are they not politically correct, that's going to lead to more issues. There's one big issue going on, well, two big issues going on. There's the pandemic and then there's the George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. There are two incidents going on. Don't create 100 more issues in the world by starting fights amongst the people you know, because that's just going to lead to mental strain on them and you. Now, with all that's going on with coronavirus pandemic, the Black Lives Matter movement, and the anti-social media, we do need to remember mental health is still a big issue. And unfortunately, it seems to be a lot more prevalent amongst men. Not disregarding the women that do suffer mental health, but men last year, I think it was something like for every woman that died of suicide, there were 4 men that died of suicide in the UK. So, whilst you're doing all your protests, your coronavirus speeches, just remember that we've got to come together, we've got to talk with each other, because otherwise mental health is going to fall apart, and then not even through COVID-19 could you have caused someone's death, you could have caused someone's suicide. And I know these are deep things that I'm saying, but it is something that we all need to regard when we are talking to people. We cannot disregard people's mental health in the search for racial equality. We need to find some sort of level ground where we're fighting for that racial equality, but we are not fighting each other. So with all that in mind, I know this was a bit of a maybe a boring video. I don't know what you people are going to think of it, but like some of you might even write down in the comments how wrong I am with all of this, but as I've just said, people are entitled to their opinions. So with all that in mind, guys, thanks for watching this vlog, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.